All right, let's jump right in. What we're going to explore here is this really powerful philosophical fable. It basically pits two completely opposite ways of life against each other. It's all about how we find meaning, what we decide is true, and ultimately whether we choose to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders or learn how to dance with it. So, at the very heart of this fable, you've got two main figures. On one side, there's this weary scholar, kind of locked away in a granary of facts. Just picture a life measured out in dusty records and ink-stained conclusions. And then, on the other side, you have this playful child whose life is just a pure dance of experience. Messy, vibrant, and lived completely in the moment. Two worlds, two totally different paths.
Okay, so first, let's step into the scholar's world. We need to understand the heavy burden they're carrying, this relentless quest that's driven by something called the will to truth.
And pay attention to how this will to truth is described. It's not just some gentle curiosity, right? It's a desperate hunger. The scholar is frantically searching for one solid, unchanging reality to hold on to, something that's totally separate from what the source material calls the obsidian sea of change.
And why? Why this desperate search? Well, it's all about safety. The scholar truly believes that if they can just nail down that one singular truth, they can finally kill the terrifying beast of uncertainty. But the prize isn't some vibrant, amazing life. It's a gray, protected shadow life, tucked away, safe from the beautiful, unpredictable chaos of existence.
But here's where it gets dark. This obsession with freezing reality, with finding some static, final answer, well, it's actually a rejection of life itself. In its quest to stop the creative chaos of becoming, this will to truth kind of shows its true colors as a hidden will to death. It would rather have a logical, orderly grave than a wild, chaotic garden. And you can just feel the weight of that choice here. The scholar wraps themselves up in a leaden cloak of facts, guided by the cold lantern of logic. They choose the safety of dusty, ink-stained records over the vibrant, red energy of actually being alive. It ends up being a life of conclusions, not a life of creation. Okay, enough of that dusty granary. Let's make a pretty dramatic pivot and jump into the bright, chaotic world of the child and their guiding principle, the will to life.
The child's approach is, well, simple. They just walk away from the scholar's entire quest. They're not interested in finding a universal fact. Instead, they embrace a philosophy that puts vitality, creative energy, and the pure act of living way above the act of just knowing.
And this is the key. The child's whole philosophy hangs on a completely different question. They don't look at an idea and ask, is this objectively, factually true? No. They ask, does this make me stronger? Does this give me the power to look at all the chaos, the abyss, and joyfully say yes to all of it?
You see how this just flips the whole concept of truth on its head? For the child, the truth isn't the end goal. It's a tool. It's fuel. An idea is only sacred if it acts as a stimulant for vitality, if it makes the pulse of life beat stronger and makes the dance just a little more rhythmic. So, how does the child actually put this into practice? How does this work in the real world? Well, that brings us to the core of it all, this great act of affirmation, known as the sacred yes.
The sacred yes is this process of taking everything in, the good, the bad, the beautiful, the absolutely terrifying, and metabolizing it. You don't just stand back and observe it, you absorb it and you transform it into a work of art. It's about looking at the entire universe with all its flaws and horrors and affirming the whole damn thing.
And there's a path to this affirmation. First, you have to face those shattering insights, the stuff that logic just can't fix for you. Then, instead of looking for a safe, easy answer, you choose the dangerous precipice of a creative myth that gives you strength. You make a conscious choice to prioritize life over truth. And when you do that, you create new possibilities, new beginnings, out of thin air.
This whole practice actually has a name, amor fati. It means love of one's fate. And it's the practice of looking at everything that happens to you, the random accidents, the suffering, the chaos, and treating it all not as mistakes that need to be erased, but as essential, intentional brushstrokes in the unique masterpiece that is your life.
And here, the contrast just becomes crystal clear. The Socratic rationalist, that's our scholar, is trapped. They can't love a fate that has logical contradictions or what seems like undeserved pain. But the child finds primordial joy in that very messiness, embracing the mythic truth of what it means to be alive exactly as it is, without needing it all to make perfect rational sense.
So we've seen the scholar's heavy burden and the child's joyful dance. Now we finally arrive at the climax of our fable,
the moment where these two worlds collide, and it's a profound revelation.
And this climax is just so powerful. A lightning bolt of meaning, an insight that's born from the will to life, strikes the scholar's dusty old granary of logic. The rigid walls just crumble, and out from the ruins, the spirit of music, that creative, rhythmic pulse of life itself, is finally set free.
And in that flash of lightning, the true nature of each path is revealed for what it is. The will to truth is unmasked as the spirit of gravity, something that literally weighs you down, that pulls you towards the grave. And the will to life? It's embodied by the dancer, the one who has taken all the bitterness of the past and learned how to transform it into movement and joy.
So what does it actually mean to live like the dancer? It means you seek partners, right? Fellow climbers, not just followers to be led into some rigid dogma. It means you understand that the highest state of being isn't about knowing, it's about playful creation. It means you say a wholehearted yes to all of life's contradictions without exception, and you develop the spiritual lungs for the eternal.
Which brings us to our final, really provocative thought. It's a challenge, really, to make your life a supreme art. And it suggests that only those who've been twice born, first into the world, and second into this philosophy of total affirmation, can truly dance with the eater, with all the terrifying parts of existence itself. So the question this fable leaves us with is a powerful one. Are you building a granary to protect yourself from life, or are you learning the steps to its dance?